الشيطان فكان من الغاوين ولو شئنا لرفعناه بها ولكنه أخلد إلى الأرض واتبع هواه فمثله كمثل الكلب إن تحمل عليه يلهث أو تتركه يلهث ذلك مثل الذين كذبوا بآياتنا فقصص القصص لعلهم يتفكرون ساء مثلا القوم الذين كذبوا بآياتنا وأنفسهم كانوا يظلمون من يهد الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فأولئك هم الظالمون ولقد ذرأنا لجهنم كثيرا من الجن والإنس لهم قلوب لا يفقهون بها ولهم أعين لا يبصرون بها ولهم آذان لا يسمعون بها أولئك كالأنعام بل هم أضل أولئك هم الغافلون ولله الأسماء الحسنى فادعوه بها وذروا الذين يلحدون في أسمائه سيجزون ما كانوا يعملون وممن خلقنا أمة يهدون بالحق وبه يعدلون والذين كذبوا بآياتنا سنستدرجهم من حيث لا يعلمون وأملي لهم إن كيدي متين أولم يتفكروا ما بصاحبهم من جنة إن هو إلا نذير مبين أولم ينظروا في ملكوت السماوات والأرض وما خلق الله من شيء وأن عسى أن يكون قد اقترب أجلهم فبأي حديث بعده يؤمنون من يؤمن الله ويذرهم في طغيانهم يعمهون يسألونك عن الساعة أيان مرساها قل إنما علمها عند ربي لا يجليها لوقتها إلا هو ثقلت في السماوات والأرض لا تأتيكم إلا بغتة يسألونك كأنك حفي عنها قل إنما علمها عند الله ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون قل لا أملك لنفسي نفعا ولا ضرا إلا ما شاء الله ولو كنت أعلم الغيب لاستكثرت من الخير وما مسني السوء إن أنا إلا نذير وبشير لقوم يؤمنون هو الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وجعل منها زوجها ليسكن إليها فلما تغشاها حملت حملا خفيفا فمرت به فلما أثقلت دعوا الله ربهما لئن آتيتنا صالحا لنكونن من الشاكرين فلما آتاهما صالحا جعل له شركاء فيما آتاهما فتعالى الله عما يشركون أيشركون ما لا يخلق شيئا وهم يخلقون ولا يستطيعون لهم نصرا ولا أنفسهم ينصرون وإن تدعوهم إلى الهدى لا يتبعوكم سواء عليكم أدعوتموهم أم أنتم صامتون إن الذين تدعون من دون الله عباد أمثالكم فادعوهم فليستجيبوا لكم إن كنتم صادقين ألهم أرجل يمشون بها يبطشون بها أم لهم أعين يبصرون بها أم لهم آذان يسمعون بها قل ادعوا شركاءكم ثم كيدوني فلا تنظرون.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah bil alameen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of you. Keep us guided on the straight path. Siratul Mustaqim. Located in Surah 6, Ayah 151, 153. And it's also a name for Sabil. The second one I showed that was not underlined in Arabic is Sabil. It's just another word synonymous for Siratul Mustaqim in many senses. But that's not, alhamdulillah, I always mention that. Alhamdulillah. The sister Zaima Habib, sister, alhamdulillah, I'm glad that you're feeling much better. Sister was really down and out from the COVID, and she definitely, alhamdulillah, Allah caused for her to be able to fight it. So, alhamdulillah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To all of you, I just wanted to briefly, come on here for a second. I think pretty soon here, inshallah, probably next week, inshallah, I'll start doing Juma Kutbas. I was really arguing with myself about that because I'm not one of these people really that seek, I get up here every once in a while, say some stuff, but I'm not, really into, being all out there like that, So, but, it's been more and more, on my conscience that, maybe, for some of the perspectives Allah's blessed me with, I just share, And it's not about, whether people agree or disagree, I'm just sharing, So, alhamdulillah, you get something from it, you do, you don't. But definitely it will always come from the book of Allah, Kitabulillah. Because that's what the prophets leave their generations. Every time a prophet comes, they get the revelation, and if it's meant to be in the form of a book or writing, khitab, then that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us to study and reflect on and to guide ourselves by the simple Siratul Mustaqim, the straight path. Every book has it, and it's basically the similar rules, simple rules actually, give, help the orphan, free the slave, or, simply, give charity, help the traveler, help the poor, be nice to the neighbor, far and near, and then it gives you the don'ts, don't kill, don't steal, there's many other ones, don't kill, don't steal, don't gamble, don't become a drunkard, any type of thing that will lead you to cause people harm, and then you simply just enjoin the right, you urge people to the good and yourself first and foremost, and you urge people not to do the wrong that, Allah says don't do, and it's that simple, people make it really, they add things, later on and, make it more complicated than really what it is, and that's how people, seek to have positions of power and authority, other than Allah's authority, and want to set themselves up, and they get out there and sell books, and sell this and sell that. And I'm not going against no particular person. I'm just saying, that the book of Allah was revealed to the world so that people would be guided. It's not a plaything. It's not a financial thing. It's a thing for guidance of people. Find something else to make finances off of. Because people are tempted to, and the reason why is because people are tempted to, um, when finances is involved, people are tempted to alter, change, you know, and things like that. So it's best to just keep it pure, with pure intent. And, what Allah's given you, what He's revealed to you when you study and gave you the comprehension of, you give that. Just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you. You just pass it on. And that's what, that is the most pure, the purest, of things. Because if you link yourself with the politician and do it for that, or you link yourself with the money and do it for that, who knows what it's what it's really for. And I know people say trust, but it's better to trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and just have good intent. And by showing that good intent, just give what Allah gave you. Don't attach nothing else to it. So I mean, why I said that exactly, I don't know, because it was meant to say it right now. For what reason? Who knows? Allah knows best. So I'm just in my reflective mood a little bit, and it's not fully consolidated right now. It's not fully solid. It's just in the middle. So how this works with me is I'll get some understanding. It's not all the way solid. It's just there, and it's like, if you want to call it a circle, if you want. It's not really literally a circle, but it's just a whole bunch of different thoughts coming from what I'm studying, and it's coalescing together. And then when it becomes more solid and formed, then I'm able to deliver it in more of a logical manner, so to speak. So you caught me in the middle of it. And really, I came on here to just, wish everybody, say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I wish you all the best, indeed, And may Allah bless you and your families and keep your health up. Alhamdulillah. And whether you get healthy or whether you, don't, have health issues, inshallah, Allah will cause you to benefit some type of lesson from it, so that it will elevate you on a spiritual level. Because in the end, we're all travelers in this world, and each one of us is racing ahead of each other, to the next world, to the next level of life. So those who went before us, those who went ahead of us, they're just looking back, waiting for us, so to speak, for us to catch up. And what we do in here and in here, we take with us. Can't separate yourself from yourself. Can't separate yourself from the things that you do, because the things that you do come from your heart and come from your mind. So it's always part of you. And that's what was it like? Some few months ago. Yeah, it was about a couple months ago. Brothers. It was a non-Muslim, and he was like, okay, if people get punished in the hereafter, how come, as some people, as they understand it's forever, they understand it's forever for some, right? So that doesn't make sense, and that's not fair. That's not just. And I reminded him, I said, well, the things that we do come from our soul. It comes from our heart. It comes from our mind. How can you be separated from the thing that you do when it's coming from your heart and coming from your soul? When you go to the next stage of life, your soul, your soul is going. So the things that you did and the things that you do is coming from inward. You see? And then it goes outward. Although sometimes what you learn is from outward, but you take that in. You take that in. So when you take it in, it's inside your soul. It goes with you. So when you go to meet your Lord, whatever things you've done is with you. So basically, you create hell for yourself. create hell for yourself. You create Jannah for yourself by what you do, you know. And then it's up to the mercy of your Lord whether he's going to release you from that. Because you've already trapped yourself in the hell. You're just waiting to be given your book of deeds in your right hand. And that gives the permission for you to go to where you're supposed to go to. You know? So, the thing is already with you. It's recorded in the deeds. You know? But those deeds lead you somewhere. Sort of like something that pulls you, you know? It's pulling you to your destination. You know? So that's why anytime you do something wrong, you know, inshallah, you ask Allah for forgiveness and, you know, Al-Ghafur, you know, because he's the forgiving. Al-Rahman, because he's the merciful. Al-Rauf, because he's the compassionate, you know, and ask him through those names. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through that. Then you go do some good deeds with the Bismillah, the name of Allah, you know. And I usually, if I do when I do a good deed, you know, because there's many names of Allah, as you know, I do it with the Bismillah, but also do it with the Muhaimin, the protector, you know. So because there's those good deeds, inshallah, I want to be, you know, utilized for my protection, you know, whether it be in this life or the next life. So that was just briefly something that, you know, came from me to you. Alhamdulillah, I mean. Now, as far as like why in hell forever, a person's like, well, why the hell forever? You know, here's the thing. If you got them wrong oppressive deeds that you have done, and it's within your own soul, you took with you, and those, because you got to remember, when you oppress other people, you oppress yourself. So if them deeds is in your soul, if those deeds are attached with you, then oppression is upon you, or the punishment is upon you. You know, so as long as that punishment is upon you that you put upon yourself, that those type of deeds belong to the place of hell. You see? We do the deeds of hell, or we do the deeds of paradise. So whatever deeds that are inside your soul that you have did, it goes automatically to the place that it's like. Hence the saying, what we often say, every like is what it's like. You know? So how can you be exonerated from hell if you're encircled by the deeds of hell that are encased and entrenched and surrounding your soul? It's the same thing with paradise. So what if you got both? If you got the deeds of paradise and you got the deeds of hell, then what about that? Then you got the mercy of your Lord. You see? Allah says, okay, I gave you, for the good deeds you did, I increased the good deeds. And for the bad deeds that you did, it was just that worth that I gave you. And with my mercy, I also with my mercy increased the deeds. So your good deeds overcame your bad deeds. And therefore, my mercy overcame my wrath. So enter to the paradise. So the reason why I bring that up is because, you know, often Christians, and mainly Christians, they will say, well, Muslims, they believe the deeds can get into paradise or the deeds go to hell, but we're covered by the blood of Jesus because the blood of Jesus brings us mercy. So it's through the mercy of God that we get into paradise, you know, because we're saved. And so what they don't understand is that we believe in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we believe that the mercy of Allah overcomes the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we also believe that the deeds you have to do to show the effort. If you did the bad deeds, that shows, you know, your soul is emanating of the place of hell. You see, and you're attached to it. But if your soul is emanating the good deeds, then it's of the place of Jannah or paradise. See, but the mercy of Allah overcomes all that. And so through the mercy of Allah, Allah give you extra deeds from the good deeds that you did, overcomes the punishment. And so forth, stomps off the wrath. Because Allah is just. He punishes the unjust. Because the soul and the blood of people are crying out from the injustices that have been done. So even when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is punishing, in another way, he's being merciful, because there are people that have been transgressed upon. So, the mercy of Allah is also linked partially, the rahmah of Allah is linked partially with punishing, because people have been unjustly transgressed upon. See? So, when we invoke for the rahmah of Allah, you don't want just rahmah, you don't want just ar-Rahman or Rahim, you want Rauf. Rauf is a compassion unlimited. See, a lot of people think that Rahmah is compassion unlimited. That's not. Right? Rauf is compassionate unlimited. You see? So, but Rahmat could be a punishment for some and a mercy for others. Because, you see, that type of mercy involves punishing transgressors too. When what exactly? I think this in Surah Ibrahim. I think it's in Ibrahim, but I have to go back to get that specific ayah. But there's an ayah with Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam. He invokes the punishment on people, but he uses the name Rahman. He uses the name Rahman. So, basically, that's where one of the concepts come from. So I just want to, I guess, it was meant for me to share that. But yeah, Rauf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Rauf, that's compassion without any limit at all. Alhamdulillah bil alameen. So that's basically, I guess that's all I'll say for right now. Inshallah, I'll go back to, studying and reflecting. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. Pretty soon here, inshallah, I'll be something that's more and more been on my heart. We're going to talk about, besides the other stuff that I have to talk about, like I said in the past video, about the concept of faqih, or fiqh in the Quran, which just means understanding of the deen. Deen meaning judgment, and the judgments are revealed in the book of Allah. But besides that, and a couple other things, I think it's time for me to, explain something is needed right now, and that is not right now, but briefly. And right now, if I say it right now, you're gonna think I'm probably more than crazy, or silly, or that don't go. But then I have to get the ayats for you first and really show you actually, and in a clear manner so that you'll see. But to lay it out is this. I'm gonna just say it, and it goes against all that you've been taught, and all that you understand right now when it deals with quote unquote Islamic Sharia, or rulers, or imams, or priests, or sultans, or kings, or queens, or emperors, or empresses. Because we have to understand something. You see, when Tawheed, if people want to call it Tawheed, but really I call it Hanafin, because inside the Quran, monotheism, inclining to the right way, Ibrahim was called a Hanif, and when he was called a Hanif, it meant inclining to the right way, and inclining to the right way automatically indicated in concept monotheism, the concept of the oneness of Allah. The word Tawheed is not inside the Quran. Ahad is, and Wahid is, but the word Tawheed is not. Inside the Quranic terminology, Hanif, or plural Hunafa, or Hanafan, if you're talking about the deen itself, it means monotheism, right? So when you say you are a Hanif, that means you're a monotheist. And you first got to be a Hanif, monotheism, before you can be a Muslim or a mu'min. But that's a different subject. So basically, what I was saying real briefly about rulers, and then I'll have to come out and show y'all one day. Originally, this deen, like for example with Adam, let's just use that as an example. There was Adam. There was a command of Allah, right? For example, the command of Allah at that time was don't go near the tree. And then, there's Allah, there's the command of Allah, and then there's you submitting to it. There was no kings. There was no queens. There was no emperors. There was no empresses. There was no rulers. But there was the way of Allah. And Iblis swore that he was going to attack people on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. Now, mind you, I just showed you at the beginning of the Quran, inside the Quran, Surah 6, Ayah 131 to 133. And it says Sirat al-Mustaqim. That's a word all throughout the Quran, Sirat al-Mustaqim. Sometimes it's Sirat al-Mustaqim, sometimes it's Sirat al-Mustaqim, but it always comes down to the right way or the straight path, and it deals with rules. Belief in Allah, honor your father, your mother, don't kill, don't steal, help the orphan. These rules like this are called Sirat al-Mustaqim, and add more rules, whatever you can find inside the book of Allah that calls it that. My point is this. You had King Solomon, you had King or Sultan Solomon, or Khalifa Sultan Solomon, Suleiman, Dawood. You had imams, which at that time when Bani Israel had imams from them, those were all prophets. Okay, and they guided people according to what Allah would reveal. So the command of Allah would come and they would show them it. This is the commands of your Lord. Khalifa, it was just, people like Adam, successor on the earth, people that come after another people, succeed, and, So my point in saying all this is things came, after stage by stage, but what's happened is terminologies got altered. Terminologies. Since every time the prophets come, people take terminologies and then they change the terminologies and the meanings of the terminology. And they add things to the terminology. So, original Islam, you have the commands of Allah, and then the community, they come together. If they are willingly submitting to Allah, they just willingly submit to the rules because they took the mithaq, they took the covenant. Okay, and when they take the mithaq, they take the covenant. That is their willing submission to the commands or amr that Allah gives. You see. So the Islam that we're taught today is an Islam, and for a while, 1,200 years for about, off and on, an Islam where you need rulers. You need the rulers, Some people say, oh man, this brother, I don't know what you're talking about, because, right there's the there's the Ulul Amr, those who given a command during the time of the Prophet Muhammad, who, in society would help the Prophet, do the things. But people fail to realize that those people were under divine revelation. They were up under the Prophet. And at that time, when that surah was revealed, not all the Quran had been revealed. You see? So anything they may have done or anything they may have did in helping the Prophet, they could be corrected by the revelation revealed to the Prophet. See? And what the Prophet had the Quran completed, when the deen was completed, all of the commands that we needed for our life to live were given to us. You see, and there's ayahs that talk about, don't, ask the prophet questions, but when you ask him when the Quran's being revealed, then it'll be made clear to you. You see, so everything them people were living during the time of the Prophet Muhammad, before he passed, before he left, anytime they would come and ask him, ayat come down revealed. They asked him a question, the disbelievers would say something to him, ayat came down revealed. You see, but when you have the completion of the Quran, you see, and those people whom he appointed during his lifetime helped him to, whatever he wanted them to help them to do, them people died and the prophet passed away. No other prophet came after that to appoint new people. A lot of people don't understand. See, just briefly, when Allah says he gives the authority to whom he gives it to and he takes it away from whom he takes it away from, they don't understand that Allah sent the prophets with the books to give us the judgment from those books. And those are the ones whom he appointed with the authority. But you have Muhammad, who is the last Khatam Nabiyun. He's the last of the prophets. And the last of the books came. Hope you understand what I'm saying. So, the Quran is your imam. The little verses that talk about the commands of Allah, those are the governing ayats that you rule your life by. You don't need no rulers. You don't need no sultans. You don't need no kings. That period. All those ayats that you see where it talks about the sultans, like Dawood, or people like that, that was because prophecy hadn't been completed yet. Revelation hadn't been completed yet. Muhammad hadn't even came yet. So in between all of that, they had that. But here's the even more thing, and I'll prove it, that was not the original decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have kings or rulers. You see, the people kept asking that. The people kept pushing that. The believers, when they saw other disbelieving nations had kings and rulers, they kept pushing that. They kept asking for that. But that was not a decree from Allah. You can even see it in, I think it's been on Surah 2, ayat 247. I think the ayats line up like that, 247, where it's talking about Talut. You can even see that inside the Quran. When Allah is talking to Talut, about Talut, excuse me, where the people came to the prophet, right? And they were saying, no, it wasn't 2247. It's been a while, 2274. It's been a while since I see that ayat. And it's not 124. It's not Surah 2, ayat 124. So I'd have to get that, inshallah. But Talut came to the people. I mean, not Talut came to people, excuse me. See, I'm not even done with my reflecting. See? But real quick, and I'm gonna get off here. Because I don't like to be scattered minded, right? But the people came to their prophet, okay, Bani Israel, and they said, we want to appoint a king over us. See? So in instance in that ayat, you see it. It's not a revelation. They had a prophet with them. The prophet didn't get a revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, you get a king over you. No. The people kept going to the prophet, said, we want a king over us. And they kept bothering that prophet so much that finally that prophet went to Allah and it came down, the prophet turned around and then said, Talut, he'll be king over you. Right? But the rule is always the same, even before there's a king, justice. You have to be just. Right? So that's a test they put on themselves. So you understand, with monotheism, we originally didn't have kings or rulers or emperors or empresses. That was the disbelieving nations that had those. We had the commands of Allah. We had prophets who would come, give us the commands. When they would pass, we would live according to the commands. Muhammad is the last one. So the reason why I bring this up is because for a long time, every time among, monotheistic, if you want to call it that, communities, we keep falling into this kingship and emperors and empresses and, all these different things. You see, priesthoods and priests. I mean, and the definition of priest, I'm saying, is a person that you have to take the authority from. I'm not talking about a person who comes, they study the book, like a Rabbani. In the Quran it talks about the Rabbani, and they study the book, the Darus. They do the study, and they show you what's in the book. I'm not talking about that. Right? I'm talking about priests in the sense that, you have to obey them. If you don't obey them, then it's, problems. I'm talking about that type of authority. But this is what's happened among monotheist communities, and it happened among, us. And then, we have people that wrote histories for us, and so we've been taught this thing that, we are to have kings, and the word caliph even got changed, and got politicized. There's a lot of things, a lot of concepts that's been changed. And so we have in Islam where we have rulers. You see? And for a while, and have you looked and have you reflected on the world and what have rulers brung? Muslim or non-Muslim? But we say we have one Lord. We have one deity whom we worship, we adore, we ibadah. Ibadah don't just mean worship. Ibadah means adore. Right? You adore it. But look at the Muslim world now. Just like the Jewish world or the Christian world or the mushrikeen, the pagan world, if you want to call it. Kings, rulers, presidents, priests, rabbis, imams. And I'm not talking about the imam of the Quran. I'm not talking about an imam who reminds you of the commands of Allah. Imams in the sense that they act like kings. They act like rulers. And this is not a secular rant. This is not me saying secularism is the way. I never said don't go by the commands of Allah. Always implement the commands of Allah, of course. If you willingly submit, you're going to implement it. But this is always originally was a willing thing. People took the mithaq, they took the covenant and said, I believe in it, I submit to it. If I don't believe in it, I go away. I get excommunicated. I leave. See? So we're gonna talk about that the original concept that has been distorted because it's getting to a point where it's troubling me that I keep it here and here, and it's not because of people that I don't say it. It's because we got a lot of challenges in the world right now, and the last thing I want to be is another bringer of something that's just like, oh my goodness, But looking at the way things are going, it's driving me to the direction because we got these people talking about they're gonna have a new, world order and a new economic, structure, and it's always about power. Men wanting power over others. Men wanting power over others, and passing off in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm a man myself. When I was younger, I know what it is to want power. I'm not calling you to me. I'm not calling you to me. I don't want to be a king. I don't want to be an emperor. I don't want to have authority over you. I just want people to go back to the commands of Allah. Go back to your Lord, your true Lord, who's not imperfect, who is not a human being, who's the only one who has the right, who has the only one who has the authority to give you a command, give you the commands. And if you're a servant of Allah, if you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you'll follow, you'll bow down. If you're not, you'll be astray and you'll cause your own hell, and it'll be chaos for you on earth till you go to the next life, next stage of life. You see? Because the people giving into their own desires in that way, they cause their own hell and misery. But we've gotten off this thing that I mean, you got Sunni sects, Salafi sects, Shia sects, all type of sects, each one claiming guidance, each one divided. Then within the groups, you got them divided. Each one wants to say they're not divided. Each one wants to say we're not a sect. It is men, and sometimes women, but men who have wanted authority and power, and so they fabricate a lie against the law, and because they want to control other people's lives, they use religious terminologies, deen terminologies, as well as in the secular life. They use terminologies too to try to have power over people. Whether you're a Muslim or whether you're a non-Muslim, these people seek power over people. See? And so I know what I'm about to say and what I'm going to show soon, these coming up days, is unpopular. It's not, but it's right there in the book if you read it, exactly how it's supposed to be. Yes, it talks about Malik kings. Yes, it talks about sultan. And sultan means authority or permission. But what they continuously neglect, and I give you an example, even in the Bible. I mean, I even use that. If a person is a Christian watching this or something, I don't know who's watching this. But even inside the Bible, the same story I told you about Talut, it was the people asking. It wasn't Allah that revealed. Even inside the Bible, it has a similar, and it even mentions that the children of Israel were asking for a king, and the prophet told them no. Told them no. That even the disbelieving nations, they have that. Don't act like them. But they kept insisting. Finally, it was given to them. So they put themselves into hardship and test. It was never a decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have that as per what He wanted for us. That was a test, a burden we put on ourselves. Just like, in a similar way, Bani Israel, some of Bani Israel one time forbade for themselves certain foods, right? That Allah did not forbid. And I want to remind you something. Remember, most of the revelations came to a Bedouin people. Think about that. Do a desert traveling or a nomadic or a Bedouin people have kings and queens and rulers and empresses? Since when? Usually they travel everywhere. There's maybe exceptions in history where they settled down. But the children of Israel did because they settled down in a certain place. They got to a land, and then eventually, people wanted kings. The era of kings came. Before that, it was the era, they said, of judges. So they didn't always have a king. The people of monotheism didn't always have kings and queens. See? So it's been a process through history because we wanted to copy or emulate other people. And so we took that test on ourselves, and then we were given the regular rule, really, that we've always had: be just. And that was a big test. And then you notice, even in the Quran talks about children of Israel did what? Backslid. We wasn't able to fulfill that test. That's why the Quran emphasizes so much on what? Nabi Suleiman, Nabi Dawood. Out of all the kings, we get one or two maybe talked good about. But all them kings, no, what about, you see? And when I say kings, I mean rulers. It don't have to be specifically the type of rulership called kings. And this goes down to people who make priests, who have the authority like kings. Because a lot of people don't understand this deen, the judgment of Allah has always been a willing thing. You see, when they came to the Prophet Muhammad, they took a mithaq, they took a covenant to him. These people willingly came to him. They said, we believed in the message that you brought. We willingly submit to the commands that you're giving. We take a mathak, we take a covenant. So they willingly submitted. And that's why even a person was a believer, if they did something wrong, like let's say fornication, do they willingly accept the punishment of Allah? If they don't, they can be excommunicated because they broke their covenant. You see? So they join what Allah has ordered to be joined. And one of the things, if you take a covenant, if you willing to submit, then that's what you're to. Right? Because and then I know we got, you see, what will it infer what I just said is, some people got some hadiths, well, a person committed adultery, the Prophet killed them, so, but you got to remember that even in some of those, although I don't use that authority, in deen matters, now in historical issues, history, we have lots of history written, it could be false or true or whatever, but I'm talking about deen. Deen means judgment from Allah, through his Prophet, through the messenger, came to you as a message from Allah. That's why he's a messenger. See? So, but even in some cases with they talk about the supposed stoning, the woman come to the Prophet and said, I sinned. And the Prophet turns away. And he keeps turning away. And the woman keeps coming to her, I want to be purified. Why? Because she's a believer. It's a willing submission. She could have turned and walked away. She could have turned and walked away. So even in some of the hadiths that people want to throw out there, it's a willing thing. What about the hypocrites in the Quran? When Allah's messenger told them to go to war, did they disobey? They sat home with the women and the children. See? They disobeyed. They sat home. The munafiqeen, the hypocrites of the Quran, they sat home with the women and the children while the believers were at war. Why? How was they able to do that? Because it's a willing thing. See? But today we get what? There's an exception. Like, for example, if people try to wage war upon you, then you can fight them. People within the camp of the Muslims, if you commit murder, then your life can be took. Because that deals with levels of transgressions and taking a life. Other than that, and it wouldn't matter if you was within the Muslim community and did that, and let's just say you committed a murder, then you ran away somewhere, okay? If you were dealt and you joined another enemy who was already killing Muslims, then you would be suffered a penalty because the Muslims had to fight back and defend themselves anyway. You see? So in that case, you still would be caught and then execute unless somebody, the family member of the slain, they said, I forgive you, and they overlooked it or something like that, right? So my whole point, I'm rounding it all off, is to that this deen has always been originally was an optional thing. It was a willing thing. If you didn't go by the mithaq, you didn't go by the covenant that you swore to, you just left and excommunicated yourself. Or get excommunicated. If you were spreading mischief in the community, get excommunicated. You see? So, this concept that came later on, and I believe people imputed lies. Let me say this clearly. I believe people imputed many lies to Ali, Abu Bakr, Umar, whatever names that the sects developed and stuff. A lot of Persians and people who wrote hadiths imputed lies in their name. You see? But that's also another reason why taking it as deen is very dangerous. You see? But having rulers, having kings, that's not the original deen of al-Islam. See, the original deen of al-Islam is you get the commands of Allah, You believe in it, you study it, you submit to it, and you, in mutual consultation with your fellow believers, you live the life of salam, of peace, of wholesomeness. You see? If an outside community tries to attack you, that is when you have the permission to fight back in protection. But other than that, it's a willing thing. But see how it has been altered. Now we got Islam, oh, the Sharia, they got the Caliph, and they turned the word Caliph into like it's a place of a king or or sultan, and then they take the word Caliph, sultan, that was applied to Nabi Dawood fixed at a certain period in time, or it may have been King Suleiman, Nabi Suleiman, fixed at a specific time, and they use that and they extend that to everybody that becomes a Caliph. Everyone's a Caliph Sultan, but Caliph Sultan was given for Nabi Suleiman and or either Dawood. You see, and after that he prayed a prayer. It's like people skip this. He prayed a prayer, "Oh Allah, let nobody else have the kingdom like this that I have." But yet we later on use the word Caliph, and we're saying these people are like kings, right? They're rulers like that. See? And then people write hadiths and lie in the name of Salaf or Sahaba or Ahlul Bayt or whatever to call sects. And in each sect has imams, which they take the title imam and they make it like he's a king or a ruler. So they use the title, but they put more concepts into it. You see? So as to alter the actual meaning of the word, in a sense. So that's what I'll be, eventually here showing from Quran itself, the process. And originally, this deen, we don't have rulers like that. We don't need no rulers. That's what's got us to this point now. So-called New World Order, so-called New Economic Order. You see, and understand that the difference between true monotheism and what has become is exactly that. You see, originally a monotheist was about their Lord alone. No kings, no queens, no priests, none of that. No men over men in that sense. Yes, prophets come. People who have revelation come. They give you the message that comes directly from Allah. You get the message. It's a wholesome message about basically a good way to live your life, not hurting people, harming people, living together in unity, and you abide and follow it. If a community has a problem or they have an issue, the community gets together and sits down and talks. You see, and they go from there. But they don't have kings. They have rulers who's a permanent ruler. People who have permanent ranks, permanent offices, so that they can become a centralized government, so that they can hoard all the authority and power to the point where you can hardly do anything against them. So that they become sort of like a god or a lord besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that's where we're at now. And monotheism has been infiltrated. And we say the words of monotheism, but we think rulership turns like polytheists. There's many rulers, there's many lords in the sense of who has the authority. See? I'm not saying in the sense of, this brother right here or this sister right here, she's more studious in the book. He's more studious in the book. The book has the commands of Allah, and they share and they benefit from each other. That's not what I'm saying. See? So this is a big issue. And I already know. I mean, I'm saying this, look what I'm up against. And I don't even want to be against nothing. I just want to, pray to my Lord, do my doers, read the book, alhamdulillah. I got brothers who are Shia, I got brothers that are Sunnis, I got brothers that's Salafi, alhamdulillah. Cool. I got my position, but I already been feeling lately. But alhamdulillah, if that is what it is, then that's what it is. You see? Yes, brother. And it's all of the assumptions and lies from the hadith of different sects. It's like I told one brother, the books, it's right there inside the Quran, all the books that Allah has ever given us, whether it be through the past prophets or up to our prophet, all the books have always been something revealed from Allah through the messenger. Not the notes of some students who were followers of the messenger. You see, we get that with the Bible to an extent. A lot of those are notes of the students of the messenger. And then it got mixed with a whole bunch of stuff. See, those are not that's not the books we were given to go by. Isa alayhi salam had the Injil. Musa alayhi salam had what? The Torah. Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam had what? The Quran. All of them had the Kitabulillah, the books of Allah, or the writings of that's written down from what Allah has revealed. Ibrahim had the Suhuf. His was even more called a book. But all of them are revealed direct revelations from Allah given to the people to study and read and go by in their lives. Not the writings that some of the followers decided to write as notes about what that prophet may have went to or what that prophet may have did or something like that. That's not wahi. See? But that is what we have now today. And I don't mean to talk down on nobody or make fun of, anybody, but that's just the truth. The only way that people can get them hadith books to be something that you must go by is if they just come through, fickle ways, I would say, of interpreting things to get it that way. You see? But coming straight from the book, straight like, a literal just direct ayat that says study the book, you can't get it like that from them. I know, because I was one of that, So but that's not what this is about right now. I just had to put that there, but it's about rulerships and having, because when you have rulers, you notice when you have rulers and them type of imams that you're talking about that are like rulers, it usually comes from a secondary source that gives them that authority. And that secondary source is used to speak about the first source. But it's really the first source that they're supposed to be basing themselves on. The book that Allah revealed. Right? Because the past communities, they did what? They distorted the book. They recite the words, but they replaced them. They didn't say them the way it really is supposed to be. You look in Judaism, they have the Talmud. They say the Talmud is actually the oral Torah of Moses. So they say that two things were revealed: the Torah that's written and the oral Torah that is the Talmud. And that later on they had to write the Talmud. And the purpose of the Talmud, or the Midrash within the Talmud, is to interpret the Torah, the written Torah of Moses. So we have the same thing. We say we have the Quran, and supposedly Allah revealed the Quran and the Sunnah. And then the Sunnah is the Hadith books, and the Hadith books interpret the Quran. It's the same thing. See? It's the same thing. The prophets did not come with a Talmud. Moses didn't come with no Talmud. The Prophet Muhammad didn't come with these hadith books. Okay, maybe somebody wrote some notes. I saw the Prophet that, okay, but did Allah tell you that those are wahi, those are revelation? You have to follow those books. Go follow that companion over there. and take his notes, and those notes are to be your deen now. It's part of your deen. No. Even if you want to say, let's say because some try to say prophet gave him permission to write. The prophet didn't walk up to him and say, write what I say. The man came up and said, can I write? If it's okay if I write something. And he said, suppose according to this hadith, write because I speak nothing but the truth. Okay. He gave that individual the permission to write. And those notes were for himself. Does that mean that's obligatory on the whole community for forever and ever and ever in Islam? And that is the deen, and that is now just because you name it the sunnah, it's the sunnah? No. That's what it's become. See, we have to understand the distinction between things. And it all goes to, they use those hadiths and they use the fiqh they came up with in order to justify rulership. See? So we need to free ourselves from all that. Free yourself from all that. And the way that you study the Quran, there is a way. It tells you, follow the best of it. The best of it tells you, which is the mother of the book. And then it tells you what? They study the muhakimat verses, right? The verses, the governing ayats, and those governing ayats are what? The little things Allah tells you what to do and what He tells you not to do. So it's not like it's a plaything, you just make up whatever. Like some of them try to say. Or you just want to make up what? No. There's a way to do it. But again, like I said before I get off of here, we don't need no rulers. We don't need no rulers, whether it be a man or a woman, or whether it be, before I said we just need communities who obey the commands of Allah. And if they reach out to other people, we come together, mutual consultation, and we agree to how we're going to live with each other. If we got an enemy who's attacking the people, you agree with mutual consultation and we fight them. And if anybody has some type of, who has skills or something like that, who can fight better than others, okay, they use their skills. But after that war is done, after that battle's done, everybody goes back to being normal. There is no permanent ranks and ruler positions and all that stuff. It's none of that. It's none of that. We got one, we got one Lord. We got one King. Alhamdulillah bil alamin. So, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless you all. Indeed.